6 completely new flavors. Each one is unique in its own way. Let's start with the preparation. The first thing I'll do is melt 200 grams of dark chocolate and 200 grams of white chocolate. I'll break them into smaller pieces like this into 2 bowls and melt them in the microwave. If you don't have a microwave, take a bowl, place it over a pot of water, and that's it. It's a bit slower, but very effective. 2 to 3 tablespoons of oil here, and 2 to 3 tablespoons of oil here. I'm taking the chocolate to melt, and then I'll leave it a bit to cool down. Here they are, both chocolates are melted. Now I'll leave them to cool while I make the base. For the base, I'm using 500 grams of softened margarine or butter. This part can also be made fasting friendly. This time mine won't be, because I'll be adding chocolate that contains milk. I'm adding 400 grams of powdered sugar. And now I'll beat it all together with a mixer. I'm adding 400 milliliters of orange juice. You can also add milk instead. Now it's time to add the ground biscuits. But since I'll be kneading everything by hand, I'll go wash my hands well, like a surgeon. I'm adding 1.5 kilograms of biscuits, but I won't add all at once. I'll add about 1 kilogram first. I'll add a bit more. I've added 250 grams. The amount of biscuits may vary depending on how dry they are. For me, 1 kilogram and 400 grams of biscuits will be just enough. I bought a drier petty biscuit that was even labeled fasting friendly, so I used 100 grams less than I originally planned. You need to knead everything well so there are no dry bits of biscuit left at all. This is the consistency you should get. It shouldn't stick to your hand, but it also shouldn't be dry and should shape very easily. We divide the base into 6 parts. Each piece is about 430 grams. I've placed them all around me on the table here. And now into the first part, I'm adding 150 grams of Toto sandwich cookies. You can use Oreo, but I chose Toto because it's twice as cheap. I won't crush them too finely. I'm deliberately leaving bigger chunks like this. When you slice the cake, you'll get a nice cross-section. And when you bite into it, you'll feel that cookie. Now we'll knead it all together. The cookies are hard at the moment, but don't worry. As they sit, they'll soften up. Take a smaller baking pan. This one is 28 by 18. You can use a smaller one or a larger one and use only half the pan. I always grease the bottom and the sides with oil so I can remove the cake more easily afterwards. You can also use baking paper. I don't use baking paper because it tears at the edges here. Now take this whole mixture and place it on one side. Scrape everything well, nothing goes to waste. And press it down with your hand like this. Press it to the desired thickness. You can make a thinner layer and have small bite-sized cake pieces. Or make it thicker, like a Bajadera. It's up to you. First fill out one side like this. You can do all of this in a deep baking dish. Then press to fill and actually to level everything out. Try to smooth it out as much as you can. But you don't need to be too obsessive because we'll pour glaze on top and that will level it out. And now I'm taking those melted cool chocolates to pour the glaze. Just use a spoon and go left and right. For 200 grams of chocolate, I used 3 tablespoons of oil, just so you know how I made the glaze. I'll put the cake in the fridge to set. But 15 minutes before slicing, I'll take it out and leave it at room temperature. one crushed cookie on top. And off it goes to the fridge to set. Next up are coconut balls with milk powder and white chocolate. I'll spread this biscuit mixture out a bit like this. And I'm adding 200 grams of white chocolate. I'll add 100 grams of milk powder, and 50 grams of coconut, add the chocolate gradually and knead until you get a nice smooth mixture. It shouldn't stick to your hands, but shouldn't crumble either. Test it like this to see if you can form a ball. If it cracks like this, it's still too dry and needs more liquid. If you don't have enough chocolate, you can add regular milk. That should do it. Yes, that's it. We're making the balls. You can weigh each one to make them all the same size. Then just roll them like this and you get lovely Rafaello style balls with milk powder. And you didn't have to cook anything. Once you roll them like this, put them in the fridge to set. I'm taking the third part. Now I'm taking this melted chocolate we already have. And I'm pouring in 100 grams. I'm adding 100 grams of roasted ground hazelnuts. And now I'll mix and combine it all together. First, I'll work it with this spatula so I don't get my hands too covered in chocolate. You can add more hazelnuts to get an even stronger flavor, so each cake tastes different from the others. Instead of dark chocolate, you can also add Eurocreme or similar spread. Now I'm kneading until everything comes together nicely and the bowl is clean. I'll move this aside and place the mixture here. Roll it on the board like this. You can make 2 smaller logs or 1 bigger one. You're making a sausage shape. And there we go. Once I shape these sausages, salami, kulen, whatever you like to call them, I'll slice them. I'm cutting them into slices about 1 to 2 centimeters thick. Then I'll shape them a bit more into rounds to make them look like little šubarice caps. Some will be taller, some shorter, but that's not important at all. While shaping, you can press a small indent in the center with your thumb. We'll add more chocolate and hazelnuts to them. I take ground hazelnuts and roll each of these šubarice caps around in the hazelnuts. Once I'm done, I'll put them in the fridge to set, and later I'll add the glaze. Again, I'll break 200 grams each of dark and white chocolate and melt each with 3 tablespoons of oil. Fourth in line is Bajadera. I'm adding 200 grams of finely ground walnuts and 50 grams of melted chocolate. Walnuts are quite fatty, so you don't need too much chocolate, although you never know. Now I'll knead everything together. You can knead until everything is fully mixed and uniform. Or you can leave it so that when you press it, you still see marbled pieces like this. I'll leave it slightly marbled like this. Again, we take a smaller mold. And now I'm adding this mixture. Again, starting from the edge, of course. Again, I press it down like this. First working the edges well so there's no air. Then as we press, we spread it out. We still have some melted chocolate, so we'll spread a little over the top. Spread a thin layer of chocolate so it's easier to cut when slicing. That's it, I'm taking it to chill. The fifth part of the biscuit base, about 430 grams, 150 grams of ground walnuts. Here I have actual rum. You can also use rum extract. And I'm adding about 50-60 grams of melted white chocolate. Now I'll mix it all together, and if needed, I'll add a bit more biscuits. The whole mixture is still a bit sticky, so I'll add some ground biscuits. About 20-30 grams, then I'll knead again to check whether it is thickened enough. If not, I'll add a bit more, until I get a mixture that doesn't stick to my hands. That's it, the mixture is now ready. Now we take a little bit of the mixture at a time and roll it on the board into a thin log. Once we've shaped all our mini sausages like this, we take a knife and cut. I put them like this on purpose so they'll all be the same length. Now some at the ends are a bit longer, some a bit shorter, but that's fine. I'll now take them to the fridge to set, and only then I'll shape them a little more. Hand wash. Time, number 286. I've split the last part into 2 portions. And now into one of them, I'll add 100 grams of milk powder. The remaining white chocolate I have, about 100 grams for sure. Now I'll mix it, and if needed, I'll add more biscuits or milk. It's still a bit on the dry side, so we'll add some milk. I added just a few tablespoons just so the mixture isn't too dry. Since I'll be putting it in a mold, it can stay a bit sticky because the milk powder will firm it up further. Now into the other portion, I'll add 100 grams of roasted ground hazelnuts and dark chocolate. I'll add 100 grams here as well. I'll take the same spatula and use it to mix both. This will be a great combination of hazelnuts and milk powder. I'll take a triangular mold and line it with baking paper. Then I'll spoon the white mixture in here and there all over. Then I'll add the dark mixture. And now I'll press it well into the mold. Wrap it from both sides like this and take it to the fridge. I'll combine the leftovers and roll them into balls. That can be your 7th variety if you add something else to those balls. Look how they look, marbled. Now I'll arrange them on a plate and take them to the fridge. I've just taken the Šubare cookies out of the fridge. They've firmed up nicely. And here I have a little bit left of that melted chocolate, so I'll spoon a bit right into the center. That's it, back into the fridge they go. I've melted some more white chocolate, and here I've put coconut. Now I'll take the balls we made with milk powder and coconut and dip them into the warm white chocolate, then roll them in coconut. Once you're done with coating these balls with coconut and glaze, you don't have to keep them in the fridge. And the last batch of balls is done. I used 100 grams of coconut and 150 grams of white chocolate. I'll use up the rest now. I'll break 100 grams of dark chocolate, add about 2 tablespoons of oil and melt it all together. While the chocolate cools down a bit, we'll shape these logs a little more. Now I'll drizzle the logs like this, and however much sticks. Then I'll scrape off the chocolate from underneath, melt it again, and drizzle more patterns. Now we'll leave them to set like this, and then we'll see what we've made. I've melted that collected chocolate again in the microwave. And now I'm dipping the tops into chocolate, then into ground walnuts. With the chocolate that's left, I've added those marbled balls, so they also get coated a bit and I use everything up. Now, however much chocolate sticks to each one, I'll roll it into the walnuts and coat it like this. If you end up with a lot of these balls, you've got yourself a 7th type of mini treat. Time for a little tasting. This is our Kinder Toblerone. Just look. Beautiful. I don't know how to even describe the taste of hazelnuts and milk powder. This one is like Ferrero, hazelnut and chocolate. This is Toto Toblerone, actually a Bajadera with a fantastic flavor. Here we have classic Walnut Bajadera. That flavor you already know well. And this one here is our Rafaello ball with that wonderful milk powder flavor. And what's left? We still have this roomage. This is rum and walnut. You won't know which one you like best.